Okay, so my name's Emily Cleverly, and I'm going to be teaching you about the character of Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind briefly. So, Katie Scarlett O'Hara is the main protagonist in Gone with the Wind. The novel takes place in Georgia prior to the Civil War. The novel starts out with all the boys in the county are very excited to go and take place in the Civil War because they think they're going to beat the Yankees, that they're just going to lick them. And Scarlett does not think there's going to be any war. And she hears news that the boy she likes, his name is Ashley Wilkes, and is going to marry his cousin Melanie Hamilton, which she does not like because she has had a big crush on him since she was a little girl. So the next day, the Wilkes have a party at their plantation, and so she's trying to impress Ashley by being very flirtatious. And there she meets Ashley's cousin Melanie, his fiance, and Melanie is the purest person ever. She can do nothing wrong morally, and Scarlett is not like that whatsoever. Scarlett's very conceited, arrogant, spoiled, willing to do anything she wants, regardless of consequences, and that's one of the reasons I love her so much, because she's very courageous and very determined, and she's a survivor. And at this party, the men find out that Georgia secedes from the Union, so they're rushing to enlist. And then after this, Melanie and Scarlett move to Atlanta, and they work at a hospital. And over time, the tides start to turn south for the South. And they can't even put all the men in the hospital. And so there are soldiers lying out in the middle of the street because they can't put everybody in the hospital. And over time, they don't even have enough medicine to even help all the men that are wounded. So basically, they just lay there and die. And Scarlett doesn't like this because she's tired of lice, men getting their arms chopped off, and people dying. And we have to remember here, she is 18 years old, and she's very scared, and she wants to be with her mother. And her mother's very sick, because she finds out that her mother is very sick with typhoid fever, which is a very common disease at the time. And Melanie is pregnant around this time, and things start to get worse for her and Melanie, because around this time, General Sherman and his men get into Atlanta, which was not supposed to happen. So everybody flees Atlanta except for Melanie and Scarlett, because while General Sherman is burning Atlanta to the ground, Melanie is in labor. And so Scarlett delivers Melanie's baby, and around this time, Scarlett meets a man named Rhett Butler. And Rhett Butler is a scoundrel, and they fight a lot, but Rhett does all these things for Scarlett. One of those things is stealing a donkey and a carriage that they get out of Atlanta with. And so they get past the Union troops, and when they get back to their home, Tara, it's destroyed. They have no money, they have no food. All they have left for food are radishes, and then the Union Army took everything. And she has this great quote where she says, "As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again." So the Confederate Army surrenders, and then the Reconstruction period starts. And the carpetbaggers and the scalawags move down south, and the taxes increase on Tara, and they don't have any money. All that they have left are Confederate bonds, which are worth nothing now. Scarlett loses her mother to typhoid fever, and her father basically is insane at this point. So she basically takes care of everything. And so she needs the money, but all of her neighbors don't have any money as well because their plantations also got ruined. So the only other person that has money is Rhett. But he's in jail, so she visits him at the jail, but all his money is tied up in Europe, so he can't get her the money right away. And so what does she do? The other person that has money is her sister's boyfriend. So she lies and says that her sister moved on and basically convinces him to marry her. Call it manipulation, I call it survival. So they pay the taxes on Tara, and they have money. They have money for a while, and then when he dies, that's when Rhett and Scarlett finally get married. Rhett chases her for 12 years before she finally says yes, and they have a really good marriage. They have a beautiful daughter named Bonnie, but he's still pretty beefed that she still likes Ashley after all this time. And my favorite passage in the book, she gets a little too cuddly with Ashley at the store that she works at, and that night there's supposed to be a birthday party for Ashley, and she doesn't want to go. She kind of chickens out. And when Rhett finds out that she's not going, he calls her a white cowardly little bitch. And he says, you need to go to that party, otherwise you'll never be able to show your face in this town ever again. And while I may endure a trollop for a wife, I won't endure a coward. So she goes to the party, and he says, I'm not going with you, you're going alone. You're going into the arena alone. The lions will be hungry for you. So she goes alone, nobody wants her there. But of course Melanie believes that Scarlett is a genuinely good person, and she does not believe any of it. And she stands by her through all of this. Then kind of towards the end of the novel, everyone starts to die. Melanie gets pregnant again, but has a very difficult pregnancy, and she dies. And Scarlett realizes now that she really loved Melanie, but she never told her. And she realized she never truly loved Ashley. She loved the idea of him, and that she really loved Rhett the whole time. So she goes to tell Rhett, but Rhett says, you're too late. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn what you think. And so he leaves her and heads back to his hometown of Charleston. And despite losing everything, she still is so optimistic, and she says, I will get him back, because after all, tomorrow is another day. Okay, so Gone with the Wind holds a special place in my heart because I read it in a very difficult time in my life. I was really struggling with depression and anxiety, and I thought she was a very strong female character. I liked that she went out and got what she wanted, and I liked that she was very ambitious and didn't care what other people thought of her. And I see myself a lot in that, and Scarlett really did not like who she was. She always wanted to be like her mother, who was like Melanie, who was very strong and composed and polite, and she always wanted to be like that. But Scarlett was not like that. She was very vivacious and full of life, and wanted to go and travel and do all of these things. And she just was not going to be like her mother. So it really holds a special place in my heart. The movie is very good. The movie is very good too. I highly recommend the movie too. It follows the book very closely. There are a lot of things that are left out, but it is still very good. And that is a brief 10-minute synopsis of Gone with the Wind. It is very thick. It is about as thick as the Bible, but that is a brief synopsis of Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind.